Yeah. The Super Bowl is here, okay? At least this is the last show before you see the Super Bowl, because I won't be back until the Super Bowl is over. Who's going to win? Why? And oh, by the way, who deserved those awards that were given out at the NFL Awards ceremony last night? All that and more coming up. The Stephen A. Smith Show in the house. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do it, at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube. As usual, I want to take a moment to thank all of my subscribers, my followers, the folks that love me and love this show, because we're rapidly approaching 550,000 subscribers, picking up over 4,000 subscribers over the last day alone. So thank you so much for the love. Keep it coming. I'm going to keep on coming. Make sure to click the bell if you want to continue to be a subscriber, or you want to become a subscriber and continue to follow the show. Just click the bell and bam, you will have it. The Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airways of YouTube on the Stephen A. Smith Show channel. Let me get right into it because I got a lot of stuff to get into. I've got my man Donovan McNabb, former star quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles in the National Football League, coming up. I got Andrew Whitworth, former left tackle in the National Football League, a Super Bowl champion, I might add, one of the elite tackles in the history of football. Looking forward to talking to them about handicapping Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Nevada this coming weekend. But before I get into any of that, let me just say this. I'm trying to figure out how somebody's going to beat Patrick Mahomes. That's really what this comes down to, you know. We can talk and we can throw out all the pomp and circumstance. We can throw out all of this other stuff. Yes, Brock Purdy has looked sensational at times, although not necessarily in the playoffs until a waning moments where clutch time arrived and he showed up and answered the call. But I know what Deebo Samuel can do. I know what Christian McCaffrey can do, CMC. I know what Brandon Ayuk can do. I know what George Kittle can do. I know what Kyle Shanahan is supposed to do. I'm looking at this matchup, and I'm saying it comes down to Brock Purdy because I know what Patrick Mahomes is going to do, along with Travis Kelce, whether Taylor Swift is there or not, and she will be there, by the way. Make no mistake about that. It comes down to the San Francisco 49ers offense against that Kansas City defense. Young, vibrant, athletic, hard hitters. They come after it. I think if you're San Francisco, you're going to have to run the football. You're going to have to give the football at least running or dipping and dunking or throwing the football. Christian McCaffrey's going to have to touch the football about 25 times. That's what I believe. He's going to have to touch the football about 25 times. Deebo Samuel going to have to touch at least another 10. They're going to have to be the key ingredients to success for the San Francisco 49ers to upend the Kansas City Chiefs. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. And as a result, what will that leave me to do? Who do I have winning this game? It's very, very simple. I'll tell you at the end of the show. That's right, I'm going to make you wait. Let me transition to the NFL awards that took place last night. We've got Lamar Jackson, captured league MVP honors. Christian McCaffrey was the offensive player of the year. Myles Garrett for the Cleveland Browns, the defensive player of the year. Kevin Stefanski was the coach of the year for the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco for the Cleveland Browns, comeback player of the year. Damn, that's 3 separate awards for the Cleveland Browns, who got smoked in the playoffs by the Houston Texans. Go figure. Obviously, C.J. Stroud won Offensive Rookie of the Year as the star quarterback for the Houston Texans. Will Anderson was the Defensive Rookie of the Year for the Houston Texans as well. And Cam Hayward was the Man of the Year. No problem there. Cam Hayward is a really, really great guy. There is no argument about C.J. Stroud. Can't knock Joe Flacco, even though Damar Hamlin and what he endured, one could argue he was the sentimental favorite to win comeback player of the year. Will Anderson, Defensive Rookie of the Year. This brother's a born leader coming out of Alabama. This brother can do big things. I knew he was going to do big things. Major, major props to them. I'm not upset about Kevin Stefanski winning Coach of the Year, but I thought it should have been DeMeco Ryans. Your first year as a coach, you took the team from 3-13 to that turnaround, getting into the playoffs, winning a playoff game as well from worst to first. I thought he deserved it. Garrett, I had no problem with for Defensive Player of the Year. I damn sure didn't have a problem with Christian McCaffrey as being Offensive Player of the Year. And none of us should have had a problem with Lamar Jackson being league MVP. Got one vote against him, which was somebody from Buffalo who will remain nameless because they will be perpetually and forever insignificant because of the stupidity of their vote there. But I will say this. There's been about 10 people in NFL history, the Peyton Mannings of the world and the Joe Montanas and so many others, and Tom Brady's and others, who've won 2 league MVPs at least. Every single one of them has won a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson has yet to get to one. I understand he's still young, but at some point in time, you're going to have to step up and you're going to have to handle your business. It's just that simple. I could go a step further into all of this, but I got a special guest, and he's special to y'all. He gets on my damn nerves because he ain't been cracking on y'all for damn near 25 years. He got jokes for me all the damn time. Long before y'all were teasing me about my hairline, this brother was. Long before you were teasing me about me being skinny, this boy was. When I got fat and out of shape, he pointed that out too, okay? Every little thing that's wrong with me, this brother finds out. But I love him anyway. Former star quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously. One of the great quarterbacks in franchise history. One of the great quarterbacks in NFL history. The one and only Donovan McNabb. What's up, big time? How are you, man?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Oh, that's what we doing. That's what we doing. That's what we doing. Yeah, give me the Barry White voice. I mean, is there some podcast that you got? What is the 5 pieces? That's what it called? What's it called?
That's how you gonna do me with the 5 piece?
I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
It's the 5 spot.
The 5 spot.
On
the 5 spot. You know,
streaming on YouTube and Spotify.
See, the publishers, they're all looking at me like that. I did that on purpose just to get on his damn nerves. Yeah. You understand? Because that's what I do when it comes to Donovan McNabb. How you enjoy doing it, man?
You know what I enjoy? It's I love doing TV. I love doing radio. I get a chance to talk all sports. Right. You know, control my own content. Do it from the house. Right. You know, and the main thing about it is you're hearing a perspective from someone who's actually played, no bias, and just giving it to you straight and forward.
Right. Did you did you foresee yourself doing it this way where you'd have your own podcast and you'd basically be unleashed to talk as much as you like to talk? Because even though you like to talk, it's a select few people you like to talk to. You don't like to talk to just anybody. You understand what I'm saying?
That is correct.
That's right.
That is correct.
So talk about this, what your vision for it is all about.
You know what? It's one in which I got into the field because it was available, and it also gave me the opportunity to control my own content. And so when you talk about different topics, you're giving your own input the way you want to say it, how you want to say it, instead of, you're getting a wrap up.
Right.
Let's bring it down, not that whole deal. But the whole thing for me is it's exciting because I can control who I bring on as far as my guest is concerned. We can talk about different topics, get their input, and they can feel comfortable and free of what they want to say and how we put it out.
Well, who do you like talking to? I mean, other than Stephen A. I mean, because we know that,
who's that?
You don't like talking to anybody more than you like talking to me. Outside of me, who is it that you enjoy talking to most?
Well, you know what? I've had guests on, especially this week. I mean, we've had Anthony Munoz on.
Okay.
I love to talk to the alums, the guys who have played the game, get their perspective of how the game has changed, where we are and how they're going to continue to grow, what they can do differently. You ask the younger guys now, they just don't know. They're enjoying the moment.
Right.
And so when it comes to how much they're getting paid and their position and where they are right now in the organization, you want to get that perspective because they need to get that guidance from the guys who have done it. And a lot of the younger guys shut us out until they go through bad times and then they won't help.
Why do you think they shut you out in the initial stages?
Well, I think a lot of egos. Some think that we're trying to get something out of them. And now that we're in the media world, as you know, they think that we're trying to get some type of topic or some type of thing that'll get us some likes or some clicks. And that's never the case.
When you look at the game right now, the state of affairs that exists right now, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is considered the creme de la creme. He's a black quarterback in the National Football League. He's a 2-time champion, 2-time league MVP, been to 3 Super Bowls, 6 straight AFC title games, and what have you. We're talking about him like it's a foregone conclusion that he is the greatest to have ever done it. How do you feel? Are you comfortable with that moniker being attached to him?
I'm not comfortable with that.
Why not?
I think he needs more years.
Okay.
For him to at least be in the same conversation of Joe Montana and Tom Brady, you need to at least play 14, 15 years. And with that 14, 15 years, if he continues to go at this pace where maybe 14 years he goes to 7 Super Bowls. Right. Now, if he wins 5 out of the 7, 4 out of the 7, yeah, he's still in that conversation. And then I think his numbers of how the game has changed now, his numbers will probably surpass Tom. Touchdowns, his yards, all of that stuff. I think he may surpass Tom. But when it comes down to that situation where you're talking about the actual GOAT, it's about championship.
But why the marriage to years? Like, what if this guy ended up winning 5 Super Bowls in his first 10, 11 years in the league? That still doesn't equate to 14, 15 years like you initially alluded to.
Right.
What's the marriage to years as
it's longevity. It's longevity. It's kind of hard to put somebody in that position when they've only played a certain amount of years. Now, success is everything. Obviously, you need coaching, you need the right players, and you need a little bit of luck on your side at times to get you over that hump. But I think as far as where we're comparing it and who we're comparing him to, it's hard to have a guy that's played 20 plus years. And then all of a sudden we're putting a guy that's only played 12, 13, 14 years in that conversation.
Educate us about the changes that have taken place in the NFL. When you look at the National Football League today and the way that it's played,
right?
Compare it for those of us who don't comprehend and who don't understand how it's different from when you played, being drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, 1999, and what have you, number 2 overall pick. When you look at the way the game was back then and the years that you played to the way it's played now, crystallize for us the difference.
Well, the physicality of the game, first and foremost, when it comes down to how they played and what calls they're making. A lot of the hits to the head, we weren't getting that. A lot of shots to the thighs, shot to the right above the knee, we weren't getting that call. Now, it wasn't until, I think, 2007 when Tom got hurt and then the Brady rule came
2008,
out.
yes.
Yeah, and so that rule didn't apply for everyone because I didn't get that call.
Wow.
I've had a referee tell me, I thought you were running. Like,
you thought you were running?
I thought you were running. And I'm like, I'm back behind the offensive line. I'm not running nowhere. Right. But again, I think the game is changing in this regard because, one, there's no return game. Like what we've seen with Devin Hester, who, congratulations, being inducted to the Hall of Fame. Right. The return game is kind of non-existent because kickers are kicking the ball out of the end zone. Really, to be honest with you, punt return game is not what it was, so you can flip the field and get good field position. I talked about the calls and the penalties and things of that nature. Now, all of a sudden, they're airing the ball out a lot. So quarterbacks are throwing for 5,000 yards like it's almost 3,000, how we did it. So receivers are getting close to 2,000 yards. Guys are coming up with 140 catches a season. And so the running game, which the running backs are taking more of a hit now because they're not able to get the bag because, they're not getting paid for their work. That's right. And so everything
Austin Eckler and those boys protest about that last year.
They were correct.
That's right.
They were correct. I had a chance to talk to Marshall Faulk on my show, and he talked about it a little bit about that the focus hasn't been on the running back, but when it comes to these particular games in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl, you got to run the football.
Right.
And so I think what we're seeing from the evolution of where the game is from the running back standpoint is if you can't catch the ball out of the backfield and run the football north and south, you're kind of irrelevant.
So Christian McCaffrey is the ideal model in today's game from the running back spot based on what you just explained.
Because we forgot about Saquon, that Saquon got hurt. Yes. But Saquon was that type of guy.
Well, part of the reason we forgot about Saquon because the Giants don't win.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but
I just said it. I mean, they don't win. Anybody think about the damn Giants? That's their problem because all they got is Saquon Barkley in a bag of chips. That's all they have.
You got fired up on that one. Everything okay?
I feel he's been abused. I feel he's been abused and unappreciated. I mean, I think he's been thrown to the wolves. They don't give him any help.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much all they have out there in New York.
That's right.
So they didn't utilize him the right way, which is good for him because he still got tread on the tires to go somewhere else.
Right.
But I think what we're seeing from the game right now, if the game continues to evolve, meaning continue to take things out of the game, it's going to almost be like the Pro Bowl, 7-on-7.
So the state of affairs as we look at the National Football League in today's day and age, I think that some could easily argue that it's not better.
Right.
But the public would say, the league would tell us rather, that the public is happy with it because it's more offense. Defenses have been compromised. We're seeing more points. That makes it for a more exciting brand of football. And as a result, everybody benefits from it. Are you of that mindset? No.
I think what the NFL is looking for is their example of it is because it's safer. They're trying to keep the players healthy. And in regard, I think if you're trying to be cautious, that's when you get hurt. You get hurt because you're trying to pull up instead of just going full bore and get there, protect yourself, get down, and get back up. So the game I think has changed where we're looking more as to please the fans when the fans was enjoying the game and which it was. So now we're trying to pull and add few things that's not suitable to the players that are coming in. And so the players that are there, now it's almost they become dinosaurs and they're looking for newer and fresher pieces.
I got you. Let's crystallize. Let's get into the Super Bowl 58 a little bit. Kansas City versus San Francisco. Brock Purdy, Cam Newton has been on the record talking about game manager as opposed to a game changer. Took some heat for it. I don't think he deserved to take heat for it.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think. Well, first of all, he's qualified. Former league MVP, took a team to the Super Bowl with less. And I think that's one of the things. That's why I said if I had any role for you getting any cynicism over that, I apologize on national television this morning. But when he said what he said, and you said that he didn't say anything wrong, illuminate for us why he was not wrong. Highlight what we see in Brock Purdy that we may not be realizing that we're actually seeing.
Well, let me just start it out right from the very beginning.
Okay.
That when someone makes a comment like that, now all of a sudden people go personal to him.
Yeah, it's wrong.
That's bad business.
That's wrong. It's bad business.
That's bad business.
Talk about what he said,
talk
not about him.
What he said, don't talk about him.
Right.
Because he never said anything personal about anybody else.
Absolutely.
Secondly, let's go into it. We're all game managers.
Okay.
As a quarterback, we're a game manager. We're able to control the football, control the clock, control the chains, control the game. That's what a game manager does. Now, that's just being smart from the pocket and outside the pocket. And he was absolutely right the way he explained it, because we are. Now, game changer, you got to be able to make 2-3 plays in that game that's going to get you over the hump to get you there. Now, has Brock Purdy showed that? He showed it a little bit in the last game. Got outside the pocket, picked up the first down with his legs. Something we haven't seen from him.
Right. In the postseason against Green Bay and against Detroit.
In the regular season. I mean, one thing we got to understand about Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy's coming off a tough injury.
Right.
Surgery.
Got you.
And bounced back. And so no one talked game manager until Cam said it. So now it becomes a topic. Now we're dissecting everything that's going on. There are a lot of game managers in the league, but there's only about 4 game breakers, game changers.
Give me the 4 game changers.
Well, Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I mean, the one person we can really add in that regard, but he's not there yet, I think C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud's a stud.
C.J. Stroud is in there because what was the question for him coming out of college?
Right.
His mobility.
Yeah.
When he showed it against Georgia, nobody really wanted to talk about it. He actually should have been the first pick of the draft, nothing against Bryce Young, but he proved it, and now we see where he's at right now. But I think all in all, Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
The thing that has to happen for all of them is there has to be consistency to play from the pocket. And when you can play from the pocket, then you can get outside the pocket and do what you do.
Some people look at Jalen Hurts and they look at the drop-off this year from last year. I'm looking at the fact that he lost his offensive coordinator. But he still had A.J. Brown. He still had Devontae Smith. He still had Dallas Goedert before he got hurt against the Dallas game. You still had Nick Sirianni as your coach. But he lost his offensive coordinator, and I can respect that. But they said there was a drop-off because we saw more film on him and what he was getting away with last year. We were going to be better prepared for this year. That you have some people within the NFC East who will remain nameless that have said that when it came to Jalen Hurts. There you go. What were your thoughts about that? They're wrong?
They're wrong. I mean, one thing that you got to understand is when you play in the Super Bowl and you don't lose and you lose the game, expectations are so high for you to get back there.
Okay.
And so now what we've seen in the beginning, and they changed the offense a little bit where they didn't run the football as effectively as they should have. They had a 1,000-yard rusher. DeAndre Swift was one of the top 5 running backs in the game. They stopped running the ball effectively and giving him the ball. And so you have 2 running backs in him and Gainwell that should have got the ball to him, where you're eliminating Jalen running 12, 15 times a game.
Right.
And so Dallas Goedert should have been a little bit more involved in that offense. They started trying to feature, A.J. Brown, which he's the number 1 receiver, but then Devontae exploded a couple games. And then he was non-existent in some.
Right.
And so there was no consistency on offense. But it really wasn't so much of the offense. I mean, the offense didn't play well in the first half of games, which they ended up winning at the end of games. So all of a sudden they're 10-1 and then the bottom falls out.
Okay.
It all started by week 6, week 7. That it started to fall apart. But winning cures everything where we don't ask the question or nothing. I remember Shannon said it a couple times that he didn't think Jalen was playing very well.
Right.
It wasn't the Jalen that we seen last year, but things are different the next year. But they have to change and make the adjustments. And so that defense was pretty rough.
Yes. Very.
To say the least.
Very rough.
To say the least.
Can't lose Gardner Johnson. Can't do that. That's a big loss for them in their secondary, amongst other things.
I mean, they lost him in Epps. They lost, they lost a linebacker, and then they kind of held on to a few guys that they probably should have made some changes with.
Lamar Jackson won league MVP last night. A lot of people, obviously most folks thought he deserved it. There was only one vote against him, and that was a guy for Buffalo, and based out of Buffalo. So we understood we voted for Josh Allen. We'll ignore him. But when you look at Lamar Jackson and the greatness that he exhibited during the regular season, do you let him off the hook for what transpired in the AFC Championship game, or do you say, yo, that's a moment for you? You got to step up and handle that?
No, you let him off the hook.
Because?
I think you should let him off the hook.
Because? As in why?
He's young. He's young. He's learning. we'll see how this offense evolves. Because the whole thing, this offense that came from Georgia, the offensive coordinator that came from Georgia, we were supposed to get what we seen in Georgia in the NFL. Doesn't always translate to the NFL. So what did he do? He resorted back to Lamar running the football. And so in that game, Lamar's going to learn from that game because all he needed to do was run the ball about three, 4 times in that game. That would have took them out of that defense, which they brought a nickel in to stop Lamar from running, but they never ran the football.
Wow.
And so now you're getting caught in trying to throw the football, and they look like they're playing man, but they still got one just spying on Lamar.
I'm going to go back to the Super Bowl in just a second, but I'd be remiss in neglecting to bring this subject up. Season started, there were 14 black quarterbacks. Playoffs arrived, 6 of them were black. Obviously, Donovan McNabb, being the stellar quarterback that you are, black quarterback, I might add, just disproving and debunking all of the stuff that historically has been thrown in a bunch of people's face about the capabilities of a black quarterback. What did it make you feel like to see so many African Americans at that position excelling and being in a position to excel in the National Football League?
Joy and appreciation. Because the game has changed. I've talked about it a lot of times. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
When you look at the college ranks, every university has one or 2. And it might be your starter. But then they're recruiting guys that look like me, that play like me. Because if you don't, you won't have a chance to win consistently.
Right.
And so that's now something that we have to look at as far as the draft is concerned, because even in this draft, in the top 4 quarterbacks, 3 of them are black. And so the game has evolved from a Pop Warner standpoint that now translate into the high school ranks. And then these kids are getting recruited to these Power 5 schools. Now the transfer portal has become kind of rough because you get in the transfer portal, that means you're going to get picked up anywhere.
There you go.
And you might be sitting. But I love to see the evolution of where the game is from the collegiate standpoint because these coaches know they have to get out in these inner cities and recruit these kids because you know he can come in and change your university.
Damn right. Damn right. Donovan McNabb right here with Stephen A. over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Before I let you get on out of here, Kansas City, San Francisco, how do you handicap this game?
You know what I look at it in a sense, obviously I think Kansas City will win because of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is just like when 12 stood behind center in New England. When Tom was behind center, they felt like they had a great chance of winning. Same thing with 15. When 15 is on the field, you know he's going to make 3 or 4 plays that's going to be that game-changing play. It's just a matter of when he makes those plays.
Right.
Will it be off of your mistakes? Will it be off of your turnovers? Will it be your failure to convert in the red zone? And then all of a sudden he drives down. Prime example of what happened against Baltimore. They win the coin flip, boom, they drive down and score. Now they ran a few wide receiver screens, Pacheco ran the football, got Travis involved, but they methodically moved the ball downfield. The thing with Andy is Andy understands how to play playoff football.
Your former coach in Philadelphia.
He knows how to play playoff football. And so I think this game is going to be very similar to that first meeting that they had in Miami, but it's all going to come down to what teams make the most mistakes. And you got an experienced player, an experienced team, a non-experienced player, and a team that's been there. But that full team hasn't been there. But we'll see. I think Kansas City wins this game by double digits.
I got Kansas City winning as well, but you got to stop Christian McCaffrey. You can't let him run over.
But see, this is the thing. So do you decide to run Christian McCaffrey 25 times?
No, but I decided to put the ball in his hands 25 times. I'll get and throw a screen, throw something. I'm going to put the ball in his hands about 20, 25 times.
The ball.
Yes.
So that works in Kansas City's favor.
Works in Kansas City's favor.
If now you're going to bring Brock Purdy to drop back and throw the ball 25, 28, 30 times a game, it works in Kansas City's favor.
Wow.
Because now you're stopping the clock on incomplete passes.
I got you. 5 spot with Donovan McNabb. Outkick Sports. When can we hear it? Where can we hear it?
Hold on, I'm going to need you to say that with a little bit of bass in your voice.
The 5 spot with Donovan McNabb, man.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, this is not good,
you
man.
Know, when you say,
this is not good.
The Stephen A. Smith show, you know. Don't get relaxed when you say my show.
I'm just saying, you know. I mean, hey, all right, I got you. The 5 spot.
There you go.
With Donovan McNabb.
I don't know if I like that. That was a little bit too much energy. But yeah, you can find that on YouTube, streaming on YouTube and Spotify. It's under Outkick. The 5 spot is going all season. Next show will be on Tuesday.
The 5 spot with Donovan McNabb. Thanks, man.
Oh, only you.
Yeah. Back with more of the Stephen A. Smith Show in a minute. everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Stephen A's weekly sports picks. And today, of course, I'll be picking from the biggest game of the year, the Super Bowl. You see, I've teamed up with Prize Picks to bring you my favorite picks on every big sporting event. Prize Picks is a skill-based real money daily fantasy sports game where you select 2 or more players and predict if they will have more or less than their stat projections for the game. But the part that I really love, you can play across any sport you watch. Football, basketball, soccer, even MMA, okay? And if you go to prizepicks.com right now and use promo code SAS, you'll receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. You heard me. Right now, go to prizepicks.com, type in my initials SAS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Now, let's look at my winning picks, okay? Pay attention. I'm only going to do this once, okay? Christian McCaffrey, more or less, 90.5 rushing yards. I'm going to say more. I'm going to say more because he's CMC, baby. He's Christian McCaffrey. And the fact of the matter is, as great as Kansas City's defense may be, I'm thinking when you consider all the other weapons San Francisco has at its disposal and what Kansas City will need to key on, it will open the gates for CMC to be able to run the football effectively. I'm not saying he's going to run for 200 yards or anything like that, but I do believe he can end up running for more than 90.5 rushing yards. I'm going with more. Patrick Mahomes up next. More or less. What is that? 0.5 passing yards? Is that a trick question? So in other words, let me get this straight. There is a flaming idiot in this world that has the audacity to imply that Patrick Mahomes is going to pass for less than 1 yard. Now, you understand that the only way that's conceivably possible is if Patrick Mahomes either never throws one pass attempt or he gets hurt on the very first play of the game, which is basically not throwing a pass. Makes no sense whatsoever. Of course, the answer to that is more. Let's get to the next one. Travis Kelce, more or less, 71.5 receiving yards. We're going to go with more than that, too. He's Travis Kelce. Taylor Swift's in the stands, y'all. Taylor Swift's in the stands. So let me get this straight. Taylor Swift had this brother come over to see her in Germany when she performed. Did her voice crack? Did she lose her voice? Did her vocal cords evaporate and disappear? Was she unable to perform? No. Not only did she perform, she came back to the States and validated the performance because she won another Grammy. 2, actually. And what did Travis Kelce say when he was talking to the media about that? The next day, the day after. You know what he said? He said she filled her end of the bargain. I got to bring home another chip. I don't think you do that if he gets 71 and a half less yards or less than 71 and a half yards. I don't see that happening. Travis Kelce, trust me, it's going to be more than 71 and a half. Isaiah Pacheco, more or less, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, more or less 68.5 rushing yards. I could see more. After the way I saw the Detroit Lions running roughshod over the San Francisco 49ers, the way Gibbs and Montgomery were running over them in that NFC Championship game, do I think Pacheco could do that? Hell yes. Easy answer to that. And last but not least, George Kittle, tight end extraordinaire for the San Francisco 49ers, more or less 50.5 receiving yards. It shouldn't take much to get 50 and a half receiving yards. Now, you could say if Christian McCaffrey's going to get his touches, if Deebo Samuel's going to get his touches, if we're going to throw the long ball of Brandon Ayuk from time to time, okay, George Kittle may not get his. But if you recall, when George Kittle gets something, it's usually in bunches. So he'll catch about 3 passes for more than 50 yards. That's where I'm going with it. The answer is more. More for Christian McCaffrey. More for Patrick Mahomes. More for Travis Kelce. More for Isaiah Pacheco. More for George Kittle. That's what we do here on Prize Picks. More. You know why that word works? Because we're about making you more money. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Thanks again to the one and only Donovan McNabb for being on the show. Let me get to my next guest right here. You see his face on Thursday Night Football, courtesy of Amazon, with Richard Sherman and the crew. We're talking about a guy out of LSU, drafted in the 2nd round, 55th overall in the 2006 NFL draft, one of the great tackles in the history of football, the one and only Andrew Whitworth. What's going on, big time? How are you, man? How's everything?
Stephen A., I'm great, man. Doing good.
How does it feel to be here? I imagine it brings back memories as we approach Super Bowl 58. Put into your words what it's like to be here in this moment as a former player.
Yeah, I think having played in one and lost it, played in one and won it, I think the experience of the week is just, it's one of the rarest things you're ever a part of because it's not like any other week you play. The biggest playoff game you've possibly played in, the Super Bowl week, it blows that away. And so the attention, the media, the speculation of just what's going on with everybody in their careers from this moment on, how you've gotten there, all the talk that is built around the game, you can't help but feel it. The guys who are talking about these practices and they're, oh man, it's a normal week. Ain't no chance it's a normal week. It's a different week. And that's why I think it matters, the guys that have been in this spot and have experienced it before.
Do you feel like a young person, somebody that's never experienced this before, they have no clue, no idea whatsoever on the magnitude of the moment per se? Sometimes we look at it and we say, it's a Super Bowl. Of course it's important to them. Of course it's important to them. But in the same breath, they may not truly appreciate what's happening to them at that moment.
No question. I think that's why you heard George Kittle talk about this. You heard Patrick Mahomes, guys talk about, hey, man, just don't go out with your agent. Don't do this or that, because you get in the moment and the whole week starts happening, and those players are getting invited to the parties too. They're getting invited to go, hey, my agent, hey, just come by the lobby at this place just for a minute, right? And the next thing you know, their whole day's wrapped up in that. And what you become is you got your normal game week where you're doing all your prep. And then that normal time where you're sitting around getting your mind right, relaxing, kind of thinking about, dreaming about how the game's going to go. Now you're feeling it with family and agents and people, and you don't realize it, but you never took a breath the whole week, and you get to the game and boom, you're in it.
But is it true that somebody has the audacity to be trying to bother you when they know the Super Bowl is coming up, whether it's family members, friends, agents, they don't know to leave y'all alone while the Super Bowl is approaching?
It ain't somebody, it's everybody.
Wow.
Everybody. And they can't help it. They all want to see you. They all want a piece. We know what it is. Anything you do, when you start having success, you're in this big moment. Everybody wants to feel a part of it. Everybody wants to feel like they had a touch on it. And then all those people can't help themselves. I just want to see you for 1 second. But do you realize if I see all of you for 1 second, that I have no seconds, right? And that's what ends up happening to these guys. And I think that's why you hear these vets preaching it, because it happened to them at one point and they realize it.
What would a vet do to somebody, whether it's another vet or somebody younger on their team, that Super Bowl week is approaching and you hear brothers out partying? They're out partying, they're out doing stuff they ain't supposed to be doing, whatever it is. I'm nothing lawless or anything like that, but I'm saying not being locked in on the championship, on the Super Bowl itself. What is that like? What would a player do? Or what would players do to another player who showed that lack of discipline at this moment in time?
I think that makes for a tough locker room. And I think that's also why you see teams that get here and lose fall apart after, because it can be, guys, man, they got in this moment and everybody wasn't committed. I think of a Trent Williams, 14 years in your career, one of the best left tackles to ever play the game of football. And you would hope that he's sitting there going, man, please, all you guys, I have worked my entire career to have this moment. I'm not going to let it slip by. Like, be committed to the week. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges you have as a football team in this week is not the game. It's just get everybody committed to the game, the week of it, and staying locked in.
Anybody here, any of the participants here between San Francisco and Kansas City, find to be a surprise that they're here?
I mean, I think watching Kansas City play this year, obviously, I don't think any of us would have said they're going to be in this game. I mean, I thought they struggled throughout the year. Now, you really look back at it, it was a lot of the same narrative. And we kept saying drops and missed opportunities and inopportune penalties. I mean, obviously, their O-line killed them at times this season. A lot of drops in their skill positions. But they were always in a lot of these games, even their losses, really close games where if they just make some of those plays, we say they win them, even starting with their very first game against the Lions. So they were really like probably a better team than we gave them credit for. We were just frustrated that it was the same thing all the time, and it felt like they never got it fixed. But having said that, I think this 2-week break after being hot, I don't care what sport you play. We playing golf, we hooping, whatever it is. If I'm on fire, the last thing I want to do is sit down.
Right.
And they were on fire the last 3 weeks, and they had to sit down for 2 weeks.
Well, what about San Francisco, though? San Francisco's on a little fire, too, right?
Well, I don't know.
They struggle with Green Bay and Detroit a little bit, yeah.
See, I think it's interesting. I think San Fran, the better they got on rolls in the regular season and in the playoffs, I think they've survived.
Got it.
And so I'm interested to see now this 2 weeks, does that actually help San Francisco to reload and have that one moment, which is a Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, like, hey, here's the perfect plan. Here's what we're going to get, and we're going to roll. Things are going to be coming from all different directions, and they're going to roll offensively. And Chiefs have had 2 weeks to kind of sit still for a minute. And that's what I think it's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see if this can be a better way to start the game for the Niners, because the Chiefs might be a little cooled off because they've started bad but ended well.
You brought up Kyle Shanahan. I brought him up a little bit earlier. 4 NFC championship games in 5 years, 3 straight. No Super Bowl championship to show for it. I believe more than anyone on San Francisco, he's under the most pressure. Not to say you're going to lose your job. He's one of the great coaches in the game. We know he's not going anywhere. We know he's running this organization. John Lynch answers to him. It's not the other way around. We get this. But in the same breath, when you talk about his mystique, his status, his stature, at some point in time, you have to close, do you not?
Listen, you and I both know Richard Sherman really well. I got him agitated this year in the green room because I said a couple times, if this team eventually does not win a Super Bowl, they could easily be one of those teams that are in that conversation years down the line. What team over 4 years had the most talent?
Yeah.
If we're going to keep talking about Pro Bowlers and all pros at every level of the defense and every level of the offense and no championships, then somebody's got to wear the hat of why.
Right.
And so I think, to me, they started the season with the most pressure of anybody because you've told me about all the talent. You've also told me Brock Purdy's a top 5 quarterback or whatever he is, right? So if all these people are that
like
good.
Richard Sherman. That sounds like him. Yeah.
If all these people are good, where's the championships? Where's the trophies at?
And by the way, is it not true that maybe it's just the emotion of Richard Sherman? I mean, he got this love for Shannon. Is that what you were getting on him about? Because he does tend to be a bit emotional at times.
He loves him.
What the hell does he love about Kyle Shanahan so much, even though the man can't coach his butt off? What does he love about Kyle Shanahan so much?
I think it's easy. With Sean McVay and Kyle, any player that sits in their room, when people always say, man, why is Sean McVay special? Why is Kyle Shanahan special? When you sit in their meeting room, they can talk to you about any position on the football field, and not in a way of, giving you coaching information. They can talk to you like they were playing beside you. They can communicate the same language. They can communicate the calls, the adjustments, the checks. And that's just not something you see. Marvin Lewis, I played with him since, amazing man, amazing coach, amazing leader. But, he wasn't somebody like offensive terminology. Like, he wasn't going to get in the room and talk to us about that.
He was all about defense.
Those two guys can sit there and talk in any part of the game you want. And so as a player, there's instant respect and there's instant buy-in because you're like, that dude's going to help me be really good at my job because he understands everything I'm being asked and even has some information that I may not understand that he can articulate in a way that makes me feel like I can go out and be successful.
I got to tell you something, man, as an aside, nothing to do with this conversation. I had to MC a panel discussion last year, and I was the MC. The great WNBA player, Candace Parker, was one of the panelists. The other was Sean McVay. And I got to tell you something. I've always liked Sean McVay from afar. But to meet this man and to sit down and talk, brilliant. Just brilliant. And not only that, brilliant, motivational, inspiration, all the superlatives that you could throw out there. And I said to myself, I don't know how the hell they're going to do this because I don't know how much I believe in them. Rams going to the playoffs. Rams going to the playoffs because he could have got a job in the booth, but he was like, nope. Not interested. I can't leave like this. Not the way we were the year before last. That's how I felt. And then he came back and did a job, and I thought they had a chance. They could have been, that was a close game, 24-23 against Detroit. I give the Rams a lot of credit for how they've looked this year. Having said all of that, when you dissect a guy like Shanahan, looking at Andy Reid, I wonder, we've watched Andy Reid this year without the benefit of having Eric Bieniemy at his disposal. Do you expect or anticipate that factoring into a game of this magnitude?
I think that you're going to get Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes best. There's no question about that in this game. I mean, I just think when you look at Andy Reid, I mean, I don't know if we ever really, you talk about the McVays and the Shanahans, but I don't know if we ever give this man enough credit for what he's been able to accomplish over the time that he's done it.
Right.
But you definitely felt like they missed that piece this year throughout the regular season. Because I always say, like, the champions and the great players, you get them in that playoff, you're going to get who they are. You know, Patrick Mahomes is Michael Jordan in the NFL.
Right.
And you're going to get, like, you put him in the scenario, he going to the championship. That's just the facts. You ain't going to stop it. But in the regular season, it really is about that day in and day out grind of, like, staying focused, staying locked into the details and the little tiny things to win games and not let teams slip up on you because you get in that long season as a team that you always are going to the championship. And I think you kind of saw, man, where Eric Bieniemy was missed in that attention to detail, the intensity throughout the weeks, because that's what we've heard about him so much. That those championship teams, they need it because throughout a regular season, that's actually their biggest challenge. How do we stay focused? We've seen it with the Lakers. We've seen a lot of teams that you expect to go make these long runs. They're going to get there and have success. But that regular season, when it's like, why are they losing games they shouldn't lose? It's those little details. They need somebody pushing them.
A couple of more questions before I let you get on out of here. The awards took place. NFL awards took place last night. Several folks won the award. Lamar Jackson, League MVP, and obviously Offensive Rookie of the Year. C.J. Stroud, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Will Anderson, Coach of the Year. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland. Got to give credit where credit is due. No doubt about it. Anything surprise you at all? Anything that happened that you felt should not have happened? Anything that stood out?
I don't think not that it shouldn't have happened. I mean, it is crazy to me. Like, obviously I think what Joe Flacco did was really special. I think to come back and play is amazing. I think the DeMar Hamlin thing is wild. Just that whole occurrence, right, of what that was. That one's kind of wild because you can understand both sides of why the award went the way it was. I thought, Offensive Player of the Year, C.J. Stroud, taking that team to the playoffs, the success he had as a young player, the man he is. Right. Wow. Even hearing Will Anderson talk. I said this, Ray Lewis was sitting in front of me at the awards last night. I leaned up to him and I said, if you heard Will Anderson talk right now and can't tell, I explained to my wife, there's a lot of guys that are good, but you hear him talking, you're like, okay, that's a great player, but he ain't leading a room, right? You heard that man talk, the conviction in his voice, just the intensity. He's going to be leading rooms. Guys are going to be better because he's in the room with them. You can see why they moved up to get him. Obviously I wanted my guy Puka Nacua to get it. I thought, what a rare, insane year. That's another guy they're going to be able to build around. He's spectacular.
Well, listen, rookie guy, I'm watching this guy in the playoffs. I saw what he did in the regular season. But to show up in the playoffs, I said, this brother is something special. He truly, truly is. I can't deny it. It's going to be special to watch. I need a prediction.
Oh, baby. Let's go.
Kansas City, San Francisco. Who you got?
All right, here it is, Stephen. I've gone against Mahomes every single week of the playoffs, and I've been wrong. All right?
You went against him against Miami?
I will say that. I did not go against him.
Okay.
I will say that. I was against him. I thought Buffalo would find a way.
Okay.
Then I thought, no chance. This is Baltimore Ravens. I saw what they did to San Francisco during the regular season. The Ravens are beating the Chiefs.
Okay.
I watched the first 15 minutes of that game and I said, oh no, I'm an idiot. I went on there and said he was going to lose again. Down the field,
first two drives.
I knew it was over from that moment. Then, the Niners, I've thought all year they're going to get there, but they just keep finding ways to all of a sudden not come through and win the championship. But I still think the 2-week thing I just talked about is going to be a factor because if you look at this, Brock Purdy has shown us that we got to give credit where credit's due. We talked about the man. People have talked all season about him being this game manager, all these things. You can't look at those last 2 weeks. Ball in his hand against Green Bay, go win the game. Ball in his hand against the Detroit Lions, you're down a bunch of scores. You got to find a way to get us throwing a ball down the field of brain, giving his guy a shot, as he said it himself. He might have grown up on us just in these last few weeks without us even realizing it because they actually, as a team, those weapons have not been as effective.
Right.
And he's found ways to win games for them.
I got you.
I think this 2-week matters. I think the Niners are going to get it done, and I'm going to go against Mahomes again. But I'm just telling him, maybe I'm a good luck charm because I keep picking against you. 3 strikes and you out. Maybe.
3 strikes and you out because that would be 3 strikes. Buffalo, Baltimore, and now this. I will tell you what I say when it comes to that. I think it's good for football if San Francisco wins. Because I watched Mahomes win with Tyreek Hill. I watched him win without Tyreek Hill. And then this year, I watched him get to the Super Bowl without much of an offense compared to the offenses that they had in the past, and they rode their defense to some degree. If you can't beat him now, what the hell does the future hold? I don't see it.
That's the only reason I'm against him, because I feel like if he wins 2 in a row with what happened, they're only about to reload from a skill position. They're about to make a move. This free agency, there's a lot of big-time receivers available. I think the Chiefs make moves. I think they're only going to be better from this point out.
I agree.
If somebody's going to beat them,
they're going to get Eric Bieniemy back.
Beat them now.
They're going to get Eric Bieniemy back.
I believe that.
Last question for you, switching to you guys on Amazon, the guy, you and Richard Sherman and the crew. Talk about what that's been like for you, having that experience, being on Thursday Night Football, doing the kind of work.
I think it's unique. See, now you know this because you've been around forever, killing it and being a legend in this game. in all sports. As an offensive lineman, like I got into the league, I was told by my offensive line coach, you don't speak to me. You're not allowed to speak to me. You're a lineman. Like you don't ever speak. Those were rules in every offensive line room across the league. And then the game changed. Media came around, social media, all these different things. Guys started going out and having their voices around. I was like, I don't even think that's an option for somebody like me. Yeah. So then to end my career and have this chance to be a part of this, it's cool to see so many offensive line between Jason Kelsey now and then to Taylor Lewan. You see a lot of guys, Jeff Saturday, Damian Woody, a lot of guys that have like got their voice out there and people are like, wow, these guys understand the game. Well, who has to be next to the quarterback and understand all the things that are going on a football field defensively, the shifts, the motions, the adjustments, who we have offensively, understanding what the quarterback needs to do to be protected, to understand where he needs to get on certain plays, what coverages are a problem to get in and out of, where we need to run the football. You have to have a grasp of the entirety of the game. So to get this op to talk about football, that's changed my life. My kids' life are changed because I played this game. My wife's life's changed. My name, my family, the Whitworths, are changed because of this game. And it's blessed me with the opportunity to change other people's lives. Wow. And to have that opportunity to go in a stadium every week with our crew on Thursday Night Football and a Richard Sherman, who's one of the best cornerbacks that ever played the game, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is Fitz magic, and he's always been great at it, and Carissa Thompson, who is a dynamic personality who, let me tell you something, there's not many guys that want to get into an argument with her because she knows about sports more than anybody.
She's a dear friend of mine, and she's crazy. I don't know what to do with her half the time, but I love her.
And then Tony Gonzalez, greatest tight end of all time, a Hall of Famer, an unbelievable human. And then our crew, just as a totality, it's just unbelievable. The Taylor Rooks and Michael Smith and Kaylee Hartung and Kirk and Al. I mean, just legends all over the place that I get the honor to do this with. Even behind the camera, just special people. And we all started together is what makes it unique. Yeah. So it feels like when I walked into LSU and they hadn't won in a long time, and when Nick Saban, people forget he coached there.
That's right.
We won a national championship.
Yes, you did.
When I walked into Cincinnati and we'd never been in the playoffs in 20-something years, and we won 3 division championships and went to playoffs 6 times. Then we went to the Los Angeles Rams, 15 years and had a winning season. We won 3 division championships, went to a Super Bowl twice, won one of them. Yeah. It felt like one of those moments when I got a part of this team. Is something special. It's going to do something different. Yeah. And in a way that we're trying to change really what Thursday Night Football has always been. We want to make it even better and celebrate it even more. That's why I was excited about the opportunity, and I'm excited about the space that I'm sitting in.
Man, listen, y'all have been doing a great job. You've been doing a great job. Congratulations on all your success. Wishing you nothing but the best moving forward. Give love to my man, Michael Smith. Haven't spoken to him in a while. I miss him. Tell him I said what's up. All the best to you, my man. Look forward to talking to you. The one and only Andrew Whitworth, right here with Stephen A. on the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airways of YouTube. Back with some more topics that are non-sports related. Brace yourself in a minute. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airways of YouTube. Let me first say thank you again to the one and only Donovan McNabb, the 5 spot on Outkick. Of course, the one and only Andrew Whitworth, one of the great offensive linemen, Super Bowl champion offensive linemen, to grace us with his presence as well. Forgive me for transitioning off of the world of sports, but I deem it necessary, particularly because I have this podcast. When I want to make a correction, when I want to address things that I want to address that might not necessarily be sports related. I love having this platform to do just that. And you know what? Leave it to Breitbart News, Breitbart.com to be exact, to really, really get my attention per se. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Breitbart News. All right. Because we want to give them some shine, right? I mean, we want to give them some pub, right? Breitbart News, that's their Twitter handle, had a caption: Stephen A. Smith is waking up big time. And it is a picture of Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, with his red tie, with his thumbs up. And that's what they're saying, that I'm getting it. I'm figuring it out, I guess. And then when you press onto the link, it highlights ESPN Stephen A. Smith furious at Biden, believes Trump is on the verge of getting reelected, as you can see with the caption that I had put up there. Look, y'all, I want to make sure that I'm clear. Donald Trump is not getting my vote. I also want to make this clear. It has nothing to do with liberalism or, conservatism. It has nothing to do with being a Republican or a Democrat, because I don't like either side particularly that much. It has everything to do with what I believe the leadership of this position, of the leadership of the free world should entail. I believe the presidency of the United States is a statesmanship position. You should be about galvanizing and bringing folks together. And I firmly believe that Donald Trump being the next president of the United States would cause civil war in this country. That's my fear. And I stand by that. It's a fear. It's not a fact, but it is a fear. Having said all of that, the reason why this is relevant is because of why Breitbart News felt the need to bring me up. Because it talked about, first, ESPN sports commentator Stephen A. Smith. Maybe a left-winger. False. I'm far from a left-winger. I have conservative principles, like a fiscal conservative, me paying taxes. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. That is a lie. Gay rights, sure. You know what I'm saying? Pro-choice, okay. No, actually, I don't believe in separating children from their parents, whether they're legal or illegal immigrants. Absolutely true. That doesn't make me a left-winger. Nevertheless, I want to get that out the way. But my first question to Breitbart News is, why I got to be ESPN commentator? This is Stephen A. Smith Show. This don't have a damn thing to do with ESPN or Disney. This is me talking about this situation. And what situation am I alluding to that raised your antennas? It was when I addressed the open border policies to some degree by highlighting what Mayor Eric Adams of New York had elected to do when they were talking about coming up with $53 million in prepaid credit cards that they were going to give to migrants. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not about open borders. I understand you allude to it to some degree, but that wasn't my focus. My focus is there's black homeless people in the streets of New York City who are American citizens. There's white homeless people in the streets of America who are American citizens. There are Hispanic individuals and beyond who are homeless in the United States of America, who are American citizens. What about them? That was the only point that I was making. Nothing more, nothing less. So if you're going to quote me accurately and contextualize it properly. Do we have a border issue? Sure. There is no doubt about that. But I'm not somebody on here that just wants to point the finger at Joe Biden and the liberals and all the things that they do wrong. I'm quite sure I've recognized the fact that the stock market is hitting a record high. Unemployment is at a record low. I think the number was like 14 million new jobs that had been created or what have you. I'm reading here from some of my notes. President Biden gave Medicaid the power to directly negotiate with Big Pharma to lower prices and cap the cost of insulin for medical beneficiaries at $35. Gas prices. The United States is now producing more oil than any country in history. Yes, more than Russia or even Saudi Arabia. And that's one of the reasons gas prices are now lower in inflation-adjusted prices than in 1974. So I get all of that. I'm aware of the fact that some could argue that President Biden has done a great job. I'm just talking about going to the supermarket and paying for some milk. I'm just going to buy a box of cereal or going to the gas tank, and you could say it's low or whatever, but how much is it really costing you compared to what you're making? I won't get into all of that. I'm just making a point that you can make arguments on behalf of Joe Biden. My argument against Joe Biden is not about his presidency now. It's about 4 more years of him when he's going to be 82 years old at the time of the election. That's all. Stop making things up. My words to Breitbart News exactly. I'm not hard to find. I'm right here. All I ask is that you contextualize my quotes accurately and address that. Stop throwing ESPN into it because that's my day job talking sports. They don't have anything to do with the Stephen A. Smith Show. This is owned and operated by me. They've got nothing to do with it. I assure you of that. This is mine. Otherwise, I'd be talking sports all the time and not politics sometimes. Stick with that and stop calling me some left-winger, because I can assure you there are an abundance of Democrats who would call me anything but. That's all I have to say for now. But keep in mind, I'm watching you just like you're watching me. Now it's time to get to our tweets before I get on out of here for Super Bowl weekend. Let's go to Gas Patcho Machine. Hi, Stephen A. Here's a photo of me eating a 32-ounce tomahawk steak in the shower. Have you ever eaten in the shower? And if not, what are you so afraid of? You know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid of soggy ass steak. That's what. Why the hell do I want bath water or shower water raining on my steak and then eating it? I mean, you know, I'm going to say this, and I know we're supposed to be careful, but damn it, it's you too. There's certain things that people put in their mouth that make me say, you'll eat anything, won't you? That's what I thought about here. A soggy steak. Steak drained with water from a shower faucet. That's just nasty. That's just nasty. Next tweet, please. At Dave McNabb 3000 writes, would you rather fight 100 mouse-sized Shannon Sharps or one Shannon Sharp-sized mouse? One Shannon Sharp-sized mouse. What the hell I want 100 mice running at me for? Crawling all over me and all of that other stuff. I mean, I don't like the fact that a Shannon Sharp-sized mouse, I mean, I'd get devoured and all of that other stuff. But hell, maybe I can run into a hole or something. Shannon Sharps of the world can't squeeze through every hole. So I'd have a chance. But them little mouse crawling all over you and stuff like that, I don't want to go out like that. Take me out. I'll shoot myself. Next up, at You Love Loss. Which chipmunk do you think is the best lyrical rapper? Simon, Alvin, or Theodore? I'm going to go with Alvin just because the way his tap is hit is tipped to the side. Just by the way Alvin's hat is tipped to the left side of his face, I'm going to say Alvin. Alvin is the best lyrical rapper. You heard me? Yeah, we going to go with Alvin. He looked like somebody, he looked like a wannabe rapper. You know? He does. He does. He looked like he wanted to be Fat Joe, but there's only one. Let's move on. At Darwin's Burner, pick one to build an NBA franchise around. That's easy. I'm going to go with Sully from Monsters, Inc. over Shrek. First of all, Shrek's got skinny legs and a peanut head. He reminds me of myself. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go with Sully because he looked like he could play in the post and bang bodies around. And not only that, if that don't work, he looked like he'd be Dennis Rodman. You know, he'll pass gas, fart on you the second he gets a chance. He don't care. I'm going to go with Sully. You understand? He don't mind sullying your reputation, your name, or your personal space. I'm going to go with Sully to answer this question. Is there another one, please? That would be it. Good, because I'm tired any damn way. Time for me to get on out of here. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Thanks again to the one and only Donovan McNabb. Thanks again to Andrew Whitworth. Thanks again to my man, Chris Spencer, who I taped a separate show with. Did a great, great job for me on this particular day. It's been a long day, but all of them came through for me. Appreciate the love and support. Thank y'all so much. I'm looking forward to Super Bowl 58. And by the way, I got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. 31-27, but here's my surprise. Patrick Mahomes ain't going to be the MVP. It's going to be Kelce. You know why? Because that means not only does Taylor Swift get to come on the field, she gets to come up on the podium too. I'm just saying. If I could have Taylor Swift on the podium for the National Football League, it don't get much better than that. Peace and love, everybody. See you Monday. Until then, same bad time, same bad channel. Have a wonderful, safe, and enjoyable Super Bowl weekend.